Everybody, welcome to the Miniac, and we are live with the John Cooper Works Racing Team. So, welcome everybody. Introduce yourselves out there. If go ahead and introduce yourselves to everybody.
Who do you want to go first? I'll go first. So
go first.
Yeah, Louis Perocarpi, obviously, the janitor of the Mini JCW team, and and here we are.
Yep. So he's basically picking up the pieces and putting the cars back together. That's the janitor right there. And let's go next to PJ.
Okay, PJ Groenke, driver of the number 62, Mini Cooper JCW. Main sponsors are Joseph Gask, Benno's Comfort Food, Tundra, Pallet Net, Aletha, and BRBP.
And now we go to Clayton Williams.
Hello, I'm Clayton Williams, driver of the number 60 Mini JCW Pro DC car. My sponsors are Joey's Coffee Co., and I'm an ambassador for Donate Life of America.
And last but not least, Cristian Perocarpi.
Hey, it's Cristian Perocarpi, driver of the number 61 Mini TCA car. The sponsors are the Mini card.
Well, it's great to have you all here. This is our first time doing a live stream like this, so if there's a few hiccups, we'll just work with them as we go along. I need to double check something real quick just to make sure. It's great to have you all. Oh, there we go. I had to mute something so it doesn't show up. But I have a live stream. I have the live stream running on the other end so I can see what's going on. And I'm trying to see if we're actually seeing comments because I see comments posting, but I don't see anything popping up on our sidebar here. So not sure what's going on with that. And that's because I have the privacy set to. Okay, let's set this to public. Okay. Save changes. Okay, now we should actually see the comments. Okay. So everybody is now be able to watch. This is our hiccup. We're having little hiccups here, but that's what happens when we test out something new. So this is our first time doing this. But this is a roundtable Q&A thing that we're doing with the Mini JCW team. And I'll be asking a bunch of questions here. I got my nice little piece of paper. And then we're going to turn it over to the fans to ask anything they want to ask on the other end. So basically share your thoughts, ask questions, and have fun. And we already have some people commenting, so that's going to be pretty good. But we're going to start off the roundtable with Louis. And I'm going to ask you here, what has changed between this year and last year with regard to the team?
Yeah. So not much. The cars are about the same. You know, the TCA cars are identical. They've been identical for the last couple of years, except before this last race, we upgraded them to the 2022 JCW look, you know, front end. It's not really a performance gain. It's just really making the cars look, you know, like the cars that our community, our Mini fans or Mini owners buy at the dealership. When it comes to the TC car, the JCW Pro, it hasn't changed much either since the day we built it. We struggled for some reason with it. You know, it didn't finish many races. And we ended the season barely running it, to be honest with you. It showed potential of speed. I feel like we kind of got lost towards the end with it. You know, we were trying to improve it, and I don't feel like it needed much improvement from the day it got built. I mean, it has the same DNA as the TCA cars, other than it has about 100 horsepower more. It has a little bit wider wheel track. And it has big tires, right? It has the TC cars run a much bigger tire than the TCA cars, and it's got some aero. Although the Mini, you know, we really don't need aero, because the front wheel drive car is already hard to rotate already, so a rear wing is not beneficial, especially to the Mini. But we always thought that the TC cars, the rear wing looks cool, and it helps differentiate between the TCA cars and the TC cars. So we mounted it a little lower, just to take it out of the wind, just to maybe not let it work the way it's supposed to, But other than that, yeah, I mean, the car's the same. It's over the winter, the car got damaged quite a bit, and so we fixed it. We went back to basics the way I had originally built the car, and left it like that. And we started Sonoma that way. We had an ECU that everybody likes, but it just kept going into limp modes. So we replaced it and went back to what we had when we first built the car. And then Clay, you saw his performance in race 2. Well, you saw his performance in race 1, right? He had a limp mode.
Yeah.
Fell back from second place or third place, I can't remember, or worked his way back to third place. And then in race 2, he finished second, strong drive. And then this past weekend, the car is is mainly OE. I mean, it's got the same clutch than all the manuals. And we found out even when we ran in IMSA back starting in 2015 to 2018, we always used the OE clutch, but we weren't running the 300 horsepower power level. We were right about 270, 280. So in the clutch never had an issue, but now we're finding out now that the car is finishing races, the clutch that's fitted for a 230 horsepower JCW, it can withstand 270, 280, but 310 is just too much work for it. So that's it's our weak link right now in the car. We're going to fix that. We're going to improve that. So, I think that's really the difference from now on.
So probably a good reason that they made the GP3 with an automatic instead of a manual then.
Well, that we don't have an OE clutch that's rated for 300 plus horsepower, right? Because the new product, the 300 horsepower GP3, the Clement, they all come with automatic transmission, which is obviously, it's an amazing car, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
So also what has changed with the drivers lineup this compared to previous years?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest change, right? So, for many years we had, our driver lineup. When we started the team, I started a team and we came together with Mini USA. We're not 100% factory team. We are Mini factory supported, right? So, racing's expensive at the end of the day. So our budgets are every driver has to bring their sponsors along to be able to sustain and support their drives. And when we started a team, I started a team because I wanted to drive, and my goal was to have 3 cars, be able to have, we call rent or have drivers bring their sponsors to run 2 cars. And if there was enough budget left, then I would drive a 3rd car. Well, there was never enough budget, right? So we were always on a string shoe budget trying to make it work. And so I ended up bringing, all the drivers to fill all 3 cars, and they brought their sponsors. So that's how we ran. And, there's another half to our team. This is our business, right? We make our living racing. We don't do anything else. We don't have another source of income. And I have a business partner, which is our lead engineer. You won't see him much. He's not into the cameras and the limelight like the driver and I guess myself are. So, but him and I, we've been racing together for 20 years in IndyCar and all kinds of racing, and we've been quite successful. And when we started the team, you know, he agreed, you know, like, okay, we'll start the team. We get 2 cars running, you drive the third one, but, you know, we couldn't make that happen financially. But what we decided to do is make the seats a little cheaper than the other teams that also do the same thing. I mean, most of the teams that we race against, they're in business to do that, right? They have cars, drivers bring their budgets and their sponsors. You know, some are sponsors, some are dads pay, you know, dad funds it or whatever, somebody funds it. Somebody has to fund it at the end of the day. And we decided that we would take all of our profits and just, you know, put a pro driver in the car, you know, because nobody knew who we were. We were coming into IMSA, which is the highest level of endurance racing. And it was important for us to be able to run well. So we, you know, back then we struggled for 2 years until we found, you know, the Pombos, you know, Matt and Mark, Derek, you know, we had James Vance, and we had help me out, guys, who's all of our drivers.
Nate Norenberg.
Right? Yeah. So we had a really good family group of guys, really good drivers. Mike Lamara, right? Like Mike Lamara was a past IMSA Continental champion, you know. We made those rides as cheap as possible, and we put good guys in the cars, and then we start running competitively in our third year of IMSA. And that was great. So we built our resume, you know, and we continued that for a long time. You know, we won the Manufacturers Championship in IMSA in 18, and then we came into SRO, and we had Mark in the car, you know, for minimal budget, you know, and you know, we won a Manufacturers Championship in SRO there. Now, you know, Mark was always obviously one of the faster of our drivers, but we've been very fortunate to have all of our drivers that come in to drive our cars to be quite good. You know, they're all very good. You know, when we came into this, we had Tomas Mejia, which was super fast right out of the box. And, you know, man, I mean, it seems like it's been so long ago that I can't put all the drivers together. But at some point, all our cars were, you know, getting on the podium here or there, either 2 or 1, or I'm not sure we've ever swept a podium 1, 2, 3, but we've been close. We've been 1, 2, and 4, 2, 3, and 4, but never 1, 2, and 3. You know, through the years, especially the last 2 years, COVID year and last year, we lost some cars. You know, budgets get tighter. We built the TC car, which took a lot of our budgets. You know, we lost the first TC car after 2 races and had to build a second one. And so now we got to this year where we just can't make the drives, you know, as affordable as we were doing them. And you know, yeah, so we have the young guys kind of, you know, at some point things evolve, right? So Cristian, you know his story, and maybe we'll talk about it later, but he came in strong right out of the box, and Clay's always been, you know, Clay hasn't been able to do a full season with us, but he's been with us now. This will be his 3rd year, but you know, the previous 2 years, he's missed a couple of races because of funding, right? Sponsorship money. But Clay, I don't think there was a weekend that you went home without a trophy, right? I think 1 race you would get a trophy, if I'm not mistaken. But so Clay's always been really good out of the box too. And so this year, you know, we said, okay, you know, obviously you know, I originally started a team to drive for myself, and that never happened. You know, I've done a couple of races, but that didn't happen. So Cristian, obviously now he shows he's got talent, and well, if somebody's going to get a ride, it would be Cristian. Although honestly, if it wasn't for the mini car that came on board, Cristian would probably be just watching from the sidelines this year also. So you know, and then Clay's doing a good job of finding sponsorship and getting into the TC car, and obviously, you know, the last 4 races. If it wasn't for a clutch, I think you would be leading the championship right now. You know, so I don't know where you're at. Are you second or third? But you're right there, right? So
yeah, I'm in third right now.
PJ, third, right? So
yeah,
you know, PJ early in the season, in the off season, you know, so PJ's story is kind of interesting because he's driving a car that's not built by us. It's built by our friends in Canada. After we built the cars, Octane Racing built the car to, you know, originally to go to IMSA to race, but they did 1 or 2 races and then just kind of, there's really not a class in Canada for that car, and we needed a car, an extra car, 4th car a few years ago, and I called Elaine and I was like, man, what are you doing with the car? Can I borrow it? And he's like, yeah, come and get it. Oh, by the way, you know, this weekend is 3 Rivers, so why don't you race it here and then take it back home? So I'm like, well, that sounds like a lot of fun. So I showed up there and I basically spanked everybody and then brought the car home. But yeah, it was fun. So PJ called, and we don't really use the PJ's car much unless we really need it. And we used it last year, that whole year, and then Cristian drove it at Indy, and then you know, with Elaine's permission, and then, you know, PJ called, and PJ and Elaine, they're you know, they're Canadians and friends, and you know, and Elaine reached out to me, is like, you know, hey, I got PJ's interested in moving on, and you know, you want to chat with him? I'm like, yeah, sure, yeah. And I think we just text, right, PJ? We didn't even talk. Like, look, hey, you know, you're in, yeah, this is okay, let's do it, boom, and before you knew it, we were running, right?
It was a couple text messages and 1 phone call, and that was it.
Yeah. So and you know, we've been racing PJ. PJ's been a tough competitor, you know, in the Subaru, and he's been on a few podiums there with Tech Sport, you know, and just like in every other team, like everybody works really hard, right? So they're good guys, you know. We get along in the paddock, you know, and it shows on the racetrack, right? Because like if you look at PJ, we've been racing him for a while, and we've had a lot of fun, whether whoever finished ahead of the other. But we you know, we get together in the paddock, have a cup of coffee, and you know, talk about the close calls and how I beat you or how you beat me, and we go on and go racing again, and that goes for the other team owners too. You know, Kevin Anderson, where PJ drove for last year, you know, we get along, and yeah, and some other teams too. Like they're you know, it's rare that there's a team that maybe, you know, is not as friendly as everybody else, but we all get along, and it shows, because then when they race together, the guys are pretty respectful, you know. So, you know, there's especially in the TCA class, that they all run fairly good and close, and so yeah, I mean, so the driver lineup, you know, it's an evolution, you know, evolves to where we're at today. We have a great lineup, you know. All 3 of the guys are. PJ's getting up to speed. He's right there. Like, you know, I expect him in VAR to start knocking on a podium there soon. Yeah. You know, we have some BOP challenges still that, you know, with the new cars that came into the series, they are a little too fast right now. I think personally, with my experience in racing with new teams, and this happened to us when we were new also, that, you normally the series with the BOP penalizes a new car and slowly allows it to get competitive. And unfortunately, that hasn't happened this year with the new Civic and the new Subaru. Now, it's fine. They're just about a second too fast. And I think the season should have started with the Minis and the old Hondas racing door to door, and the new Civic and the new Subaru right behind there knocking on the back bumper, right? So,
Yeah.
will that change? Probably. Who knows? We'll just continue to do our job, try to be as fast as we can. The drivers need to study and get ready for each race, and keep on doing what we normally do.
Yep. Well, before we dive into some more questions, we have some comments here. Someone said epic. Says, what's good? This is dope AF. Hey, y'all. WFO says hello from Virginia. Marie says hiya. This person's asking what kind of oil you guys use for your cars.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll answer that real quick. We have a partnership with Motul, and we run the Motul. We use a factory 5W30 viscosity Motul synthetic.
So this one right here,
through the team, you can get a 10% discount. So I actually would. What's that?
Oh, this person said Model 300V power 5W30.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
This person must know you, possibly. I wonder. So
Jackson.
Yeah, I don't recognize the name, but
That's Jackson.
sure we do.
possible. Yep. Oh. Andy just popped in. Clay looks good in that 60 car. Keep it up.
Thank you.
All right. Well, speaking of Clay, we're going to dive into some questions for you, Clay. So first off, what made you want to race the Mini?
So I got started or introduced to these guys and Mini through, as Lewis mentioned, one of our old drivers, Tomas Mejia. He introduced me to Lewis, and Lewis gave me the opportunity to run with them. It was mid-season at I think it was Sonoma was my first race. But I didn't know too much about Mini as a whole when I was getting into it. I knew that they were super competitive, and they've had like Lewis also mentioned, a great resume, really good drivers, lots of history, even going beyond the team, just Mini and racing in general. And I found that really intriguing. And as I began to drive with them and learn more about Mini and LAP and stuff, I became more I guess you could say I became more aware of the community and how connected everyone is. And at the races, we always have the biggest fan bases at the track. They're always huddled around our tent, and it's really cool to see all the different fans come out, and our trailer always having the most amount of fans. And yeah, I think it's just really special, and that's how it came about.
So you finished last season by winning both races at Indy in the TCA class, and you've started this season running basically in the top 3 in TC. Tell us how you are able to continue that success.
So yeah, so I think it's I think it's a little bit of a confidence booster. Last season, like I didn't get to run a full season, but every race that I was able to go to, I tried to just capitalize on my finishes as best I can to get as the best possible championship finish. And Indy, it was definitely interesting with the challenging weather conditions we had. And it was a gamble on, going out on the rain tires or the slick, because it was a drying track. And we thought really hard on what to do, and we made the call to take the risk and go out on the slick, and it definitely paid off, and gives myself and I think the team, everyone, a big boost in their confidence and our abilities going into the next season, especially because it was the last race. So I think that just confidence rolling into it. They did a lot of work on the TC car in the off season, so we knew it was going to be much more reliable. We knew it was going to be fast. It was fast last season, where I was extremely optimistic, and just very confident, and they all put the work in. So
Awesome. I wanted to ask you this: how is driving the TC Mini JCW Pro different from driving the TCA Mini JCW?
Well, it's a blast. It's super fast compared to the TCA car. That was definitely the biggest difference, and it has a lot more grip just because of how bigger the tire is. Those are by far the biggest differences, and it's super fun to drive for sure.
I would imagine I wouldn't mind owning one that looked like that. I think it's an incredible looking car.
Yes, very unique. I love it.
So we're going to dive in and go up to PJ here. You had success racing in tech sport. What made you decide to move to the Mini JCW team?
I've been a Mini driver from a long time ago. I actually won my first pro race with Elaine and Team Octane in Canada and Canadian Touring Car Championship. So I've actually had quite a history with Mini. Before this season, I actually raced a Mini Cooper in the 2015 Pirelli World Challenge TCB class, and it was time for me to come home. What made me especially ready to make the move was when I was on pole at Indy at the last race last year, and this little orange bugger blew by me on the front straight, and that's when I kind of made up my mind. And that was Cristian in that car. The same car I'm driving this year.
Yeah, he blasts right by you, and then you're like, I didn't get me one of those.
Yeah, at that point, I said, I'm done. I said, you can't beat them, join them.
Well, that's awesome.
There you
Watching your progress in the Mini, it seems you will be fighting for podiums starting at VIR. What are your expectations?
Podiums from here on out. I like to say Sonoma hates me. I love Sonoma, but that track hates me for whatever reason. I know Clay laughs at that because it's his home track. I've just never done well there. I've always been mid-pack for whatever reason. NOLA was interesting. It was a different track. I was very confident in the car. I got used to how the car handles and the dynamics of it and working with the team. We were fast. My theoretical best lap time in the first race was actually second fastest lap. And I've really got a handle on the car now. We're going to tracks such as VIR, Watkins Glen, Road America. I've been on the podium, if not one races there. So upwards and onwards.
So I wanted to ask you this. You previously, you brought this up yesterday. You previously drove rear-wheel drive cars. What were some challenges you faced switching over to front-wheel drive?
It was rougher than I thought, to be honest with you. I last raced front-wheel drive in 2017 when I won my first championship. And getting used to driving rear-wheel drive, it was a really easy transition. But going back to front-wheel drive, I didn't realize how different it was. And with the setup of the car. So I was actually enacting some imbalances in the car through the corners at Sonoma, which I didn't even realize I was doing until we would go back into the trailer and go over the data with Rob, our engineer, who's just incredible to work with. And I cleaned that up for NOLA. We were really fast. Like Lewis was saying, we got to work on the BOP a little bit with the new cars that came in because they're just a bit too fast. But I'm ready. I'm going to start kicking everyone's butt pretty soon.
Awesome. Now, before we dive into Cristian here, if any of you follow him on Instagram, any of you know Savage GP on Instagram? Some of you might know him.
I do not.
No. Gabriel Galvin, basically. He was asking if any of you have driven the actual GP3.
I have not.
No.
No.
friend that has one that he said he would allow me to drive it, but I have not made the trip down to Ohio to drive it yet.
Driven down to Ohio, let me guess. Larry?
Yep, Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I've had driven the GP3, but I've driven. I mean, I drive the 2021 Clubman. That's 301 horsepower. So I can imagine what the GP3 drives like.
Yep. All right. Well, we're going to dive in with Cristian here. Yeah, with zero racing experience, you came into the series racing the top drivers immediately. This season, after 4 races, it seems you are chasing that top group. What do you feel is the reason for that?
I would like what Dad and PJ have said so far. Definitely the BOP has, I guess, I don't know, it makes it look like we're chasing them now. I think that would be the biggest thing. I think the car right now is, with the more experience I have, I can set the car up better to where I like it. So I think the car's fast, but the Subarus and Hondas are just in another level. Also, with the older Honda is still pretty fast also. So that's another one that they'll have to fine-tune the BOP for. But at NOLA, we were right there, probably faster than the older Honda, and which was nice. Just some traffic played a part in the first race, and a little bit some mistakes on other drivers' parts played a part for the DNF in race 2. But I think at VIR, me and PJ will be right there up front, battling for wins or even podiums.
Well, this is before I ask this next question, I did have one question for you. How did you manage to break a wheel in the first race?
First race,
Sonoma.
Sonoma?
NOLA. Oh no,
Sonoma.
that was the second race at NOLA.
That was the second race at
All right, Sonoma. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Sonoma one was we are not sure why, but 4 of the 5 wheel studs failed at Sonoma.
Mm-hmm.
And then NOLA was a bent control arm from contact with another car.
Fun. All right, I'm going to ask this. Who's faster, you or your dad?
Oh, I would say me. Dad's probably going to say him. But
You realize he's going to challenge you to that now. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Christian's doing a good job. I have a win already in my my second race ever. So, the thing is too, Christian, his whole life is been wanting to race, and the funny thing is, he started with video games back when he was 3.5 years old, and his whole goal was to beat me. And I don't think he ever beat me until he was like 13 or 14. What was the first time you beat me, Christian?
yeah, probably around that time.
Yeah, and at that time I had stopped playing video games. I was busy with the race team. So, I honestly don't really want to, even though we're father and son, we're both competitive, right? So I don't want to find myself ever racing against him because it just it's not about proving who's faster. I just know that the outcome isn't good when you're trying to beat your dad or your son trying to beat your son. But what I would love to do is race with him, maybe in an endurance race where we could drive in the same car. That would be a dream for me.
Sounds like a cool idea. Cristian, I wanted to ask you this. Do you drive your own Mini the way you drive the number 61 JCW?
No, I guess I drive the street car very lenient, mainly in green mode because of fuel prices right now. But no, I don't think I've ever even got close to driving as hard as I drive the race car. No oh crap moments or anything like that. And I think I would have a stern talking to at home if they found out.
I know this guy just said that's a lie, but what's wrong with that? So I had a few more questions here I wanted to ask you guys, but this is for everybody here. What is your favorite thing about the Mini brand?
For me, it's the history and the heritage. Winning the Monte Carlo rally way back in the day, to the original Minis having rubber blocks for suspension, and they were out handling everything else on the track, even though they didn't have the speed. It was a pure momentum and handling car. It's such an iconic brand with such a loyal following. It's so cool to be back and be a part of that experience. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I gotta agree with PJ for sure. And I also love just the community. Like when we're at the track, we always have the biggest fan bases and everyone has their Mini gear on, and it really brings all the community out. It's pretty awesome.
I would agree with PJ and Clay. The community is amazing, and definitely I'm a little bit more involved in like the Mini groups on Facebook and stuff like that, and they're super supportive, which is awesome, and they just want to know all about the race cars, which I love.
Yeah, I mean, PJ started with the right answer. The crazy thing about Mini is that it was born to race, right? The car, with John Cooper Works, 2 years after it was born, it was racing at Monte Carlo. I don't think there's a brand, maybe Ferrari, that really, they say they sell cars to race, so it's in their heritage. But the Mini has just been racing from the day it was born, and it's just an iconic car, and it hasn't lost that iconic look, right? And it's interesting because I don't think we sell a lot of Minis here in the U.S. overall, and whether it's because here us Americans like big SUVs or big cars or whatever it is, but what's interesting is everybody that I talk to, or everybody that, oh, you guys race Minis, or we have 3 Minis in our driveway, so we're the Mini people here in our neighborhood, right? And most don't know that we race them, but everybody will say like, oh, my dad had. Everybody has a Mini story. Everybody, whether they own a Mini or not, like they know somebody, they everybody, and I know down deep that most people want to drive a Mini just to experience it, So, it's just an iconic brand. The car hasn't lost its heritage, and we're fortunate that we get to race the brand successfully and continue to build the heritage, and the legacy, continue the legacy of the Mini brand and the iconic hard top 2-door, So yeah, I mean, it's just awesome. It's just a different world, man.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you this: if you all could pick a model from any generation of the Mini, of the Mini, what would it be? And that's a pretty broad thing. We're talking many, many years.
I got a good answer to that.
We'll let Lewis go first.
Okay.
Are you talking from the day it was born to the last one that's been built now?
Well, initially, I have it on my little list here capitalized, so I'm thinking modern Mini. But if you wanted to include include the classic generation, you could.
Yeah, no. So from the modern one, I mean, I drive the Clubman because I'm old. It's automatic. I mean, I love stick shift, but when we're I'm never stopped working. So either I'm on the phone, and so it's just such a nice car to drive. And if I ever need the power, it's the 300 horsepower is just It's just incredible. All-wheel drive, like you just can't go wrong with it. And
Mhm.
you got to remember too. I mean, we're a house of six. I got, I have 3 stepsons, Christian, my wife, and 2 dogs. Like, so I should be really driving a minivan, but the Clubman does a good job for me. But if I'm by myself, like, yeah, the 2-door hard top, the JCW or the GP3. The JCW is probably my favorite at the moment. Manual, obviously, the 6-speed. I think that's the car I would drive. We have 2 F55s in the house. My wife drives the 4-door, Christian drives it, and I drive the Clubman, and all of our race cars are obviously the hard tops. But yeah, and I definitely want a classic. I think that's I'm a car guy, so you have a list of cars that you want to restore or build or whatever, and obviously one of the classic minis, chili red with a white top, some big nice fat wheels out of it, maybe some rally style fog lights in the front, that would be
Maybe
awesome.
with a big 37 on the side of the door.
That,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, we'll go to Pete. Who was it was going to talk after?
Oh, I'll go. I mean, for me, it's a very simple answer. Any year, any model, as long as it's orange.
Orange. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I've raced them from 2010 up until now. They are all incredible chassis. They all drive incredibly well. The adage of race on Sunday, drive on Monday couldn't be better suited to the Mini brand. I've seen them stripped down to the bare chassis, acid dipped and everything. They're built like tanks, so doesn't matter. As long as it's orange, I'll drive any Mini.
There you go. Mine's probably my all-time favorite is probably the GP3. I love the way it looks. It is. I've seen it in person, and it's pretty cool looking. And I get to drive the one that looks like it. So
I've driven the real thing, and all I can say is if you're going really fast, you probably want. There are certain points where I wanted the traction control on because I'm like, this thing was terrifying me a little bit. Like, if you want to drive a car that scares you, that's the car to do it in.
I think for me, it probably goes in between like the GP3 and the F55 5-door, just because I I drive one daily. But like, I would have to say it's probably the 5-door or the 4-door or whatever you want to call it. I guess mine's a little unique. It's pretty much a JCW with. It has the JCW brakes and intercooler and all the fancy bits that JCW has, and it handles just as well as a 2-door. So I get that 3 inches longer of rear seat space. So yeah, no, I think the 5-door would have to be my favorite Mini currently.
Yeah, when you open the back doors of those cars, they genuinely are like just 3 inches longer because those door sills are really narrow.
Yeah.
I've seen so many of those, and I'm like,
that. Yeah, I think what's really interesting too. Our cars, all 3 of the cars, are all OE except for the dampers, the brake pads, and obviously all the safety equipment. So, when you said something about winning on Sunday and selling on Monday, I mean, we are racing the car that our customers, the Mini customers, owners buy in the showroom, right? And what's crazy is, we race against cars that are also street cars because the series, TC America touring cars are based out of production-based cars. What's interesting is the Mini isn't much different than than the dealer car. We even run the paper OE air filter in the airbox. We don't have cool intakes or K&N air filters or any of this kind of stuff. We literally run what you buy at the dealership. And our car, for example, we were just at NOLA, and one of the, that we've run other brands. We've been racing other brands and other classes, so we know the competition quite well, and we know their cars, and we know how they build them, and we know their weaknesses. Now we have a few weaknesses that we're taking care of as part of the development, especially on the TC Pro car, and basically the only weakness at the moment is the clutch, which we will upgrade this before the next race. But all the other cars, they use aftermarket. They have to go with a bigger rotor. They use a different brand. They have aftermarket radiators and hood scoops and all this other stuff, and that makes the car a little more unreliable on top of it. So it's kind of crazy that this street car, this Mini, just is as competitive or even better overall, than these prepared other race cars, right? And so when you go buy a different brand, the Mini is just superior, period, right out of the dealership, Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do anything. Yeah, the only thing I would change on a Mini is a better set of rubber. I don't know, they come with different brands of tires, but back before they were running run flats. Well, run flats just take away all of the performance out of the suspension, right? And so that's kind of a downer, but that was an easy fix. Like, every time I have a new Mini, the first thing I do is put a regular set of great Michelins or whatever other Pirellis or whatever it is, and man, the car just comes alive, So anyway, I just wanted to make sure, I always say, and I think one of the things that Mini likes the most is that we are racing the car that you buy in the showroom. You don't have the roll cage and the seat belts and whatever, but if we take a street car and line it up against our race car, we might even lose because we're BOP too, right? We're controlled, so all the other brands can race together, right? So I'm going to say that most cars that come out of the showroom are literally faster than our race cars. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of, you're talking about the brand, and just wanted to make sure that our audience are the fans and even people that are not Mini owners, if they're looking to buy the next car, maybe that Honda Type R isn't all that Type R, right? Just go get a JCW, and you have. I mean, I believe that the Mini is in brand and reliability is, I think, number one in all the brands right now. I think it's up in the top. If it's not,
it is actually. It's really. I
it's
think it is like
top.
number one right now.
Yeah.
Which is saying something about
the cars.
I
mean, yeah, and the car is actually quite impressive. I mean, we beat the hell out of them, right? I mean, these things are revving at 6,000 RPM every day, every lap, right? The brakes are running at 1,000 degrees. The rotors run at 1,000 degrees. So, I don't know. Like, so if you're gonna go buy a new car and you're into sports cars, some people forget about the Mini, and the Mini, like the GP3 is amazing, right? Now that's a special edition. You might not be able to get one, but go get a JCW. Like you're gonna love it,
That's the reason I went and bought a JCW. Couldn't get that because I couldn't get the GP3 1, and 2, I couldn't get the GP3 with a stick shift. So kind of limited my choices then.
Well, the world is evolving, right? The world's evolving, and we're kind of going electric in the future. We might not see all electric, but the next generation of people will. But
right,
cars evolve, and manuals are going to go away. It's just the reality of where we're at today in the world, right? But right now you can get manuals. So like if you want a manual, again, you got a Mini.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was going to say, best thing is about the Mini is it's like buying a go-kart for the road. They literally handle that well. It's so cool.
Yeah, I know that from some experience. Those. Yeah. They definitely. It's a go. Well, Go-kart for the road is one. That's another friend of mine once said it's a go-kart on steroids.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Absolutely.
Hey,
you
you
don't-
know, even today, you know, I think a lot of people, you know, we worry about gas prices, especially with what's going on in the world today. And, you know, you buy a 300 horsepower GP3 and you still get 30 miles to a gallon, right? I mean, obviously, if you're on the throttle, you're going to get 6 miles to the gallon. But if you drive it normally, you know, you have a very economic, fuel efficient car with a ton of power, amazing braking power, and probably the best handling street car you're going to be able to buy, you know? So it's just amazing.
I think me and Clay can vouch for that 30 miles to the gallon with crazy power on our journey to Daytona and back. It was pretty impressive to have a car with nearly 300 horsepower in the JCW Pro exhaust and all the bits and bobs, and it was still getting 32 to 34 miles to the gallon.
It was definitely impressive.
So saying something about the durability of these cars, this person said that they hit a huge sorry, hold on. They hit a huge pothole yesterday, and they had to go to the chiropractor, but the car was fine.
The beauty of a car that handles that way.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm sorry, it's not good that you had to go to the chiropractor, but, you know.
So
wow.
That's
yeah, but several people have been commenting. There's lots of people have been commenting in here. Someone mentioned the best Mini was the R53, and I noticed from the video clip that PJ had shown me here that the car he's driving in it is an R53. So if anyone wants, if we want to, you think we should show them the video clip?
Up to you. That was my first pro win in an R53, and it was magic.
First pro win in R53. Well,
let's see it.
Let's go ahead and see. Let's see if I can pull the sucker up. And there's the video clip. And let's hit play.
We got to fast forward a bit because I have all the warm-up laps in there.
Looks like you're chasing an Integra here.
Yeah, and I got him, which was great.
I have not seen an Integra that old in years.
Oh, it kind of dates me by you showing this video, by the way.
Well, the cars date themselves in that video. It's like I think I saw a 2005 Impreza or a WRX.
Yes, that was. Yeah.
But I don't know when they stopped building the Integras.
God, that I have no idea.
How do you stop? They stopped building it in 01.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and pause that. And I think we lost somebody here. Oh,
Lewis disappeared.
Yep, he's back.
There he is.
Yep, he vanished. We got him back. Now we've done the shuffle of thumbnails.
Yeah.
So I have someone commenting in here. It said I did a hot lap with you in Daytona Beach 2017 or 18, and notice in my ear in my picture by my name. Thank you for scaring me to death up by the rail. So who is he?
Yeah.
Who's my?
That looks like Lewis in the picture.
Yeah, it looks like Lewis.
Yeah, we had some fun in Daytona. I think we hit about 145 miles per hour at Daytona. It was pretty, a lot of fun. Yeah, I was scared too, by the way.
things you don't want to tell the person riding in the car with you. It's like yeah, I was scared too. Don't tell the passengers. They don't want to know. So
that's awesome.
So Gabriel popped back in here. He was asking, is it possible that TC Mini vehicles will get engine upgrades to the newly updated JCW engines?
I mean, that's a possibility, but at the moment it's not quite necessary. I mean, you know, the car runs really good. You know, we've managed in our process of when we built the car, you know, we knew that we had to run around, you know, just over about 300 or plus horses, and we did a lot of dynoing and tuning, and the car will do. I mean, we stopped at like 358 horses to the wheels with that engine. So now we haven't raced at that horsepower, so you know, running 40 minutes straight maybe is not going to be, you know, not going to end in a good end good, but we're not allowed to run that much horsepower anyway. So at the moment, probably not. You know, we'll just stay with what we know works, and we have plenty of power with what we have.
So you were basically trying to just figure out what you could get out of it and then dial it back.
That's correct.
Like we know it can do 350. Let's dial it back down, and we'll make it do what it needs to do.
Right? It's almost 360. It's 358 at the wheel. So at the crank, it's probably getting closer to 400 horsepower.
That's insane. That's insane for those engines. And people out there say that these engines can't handle that kind of power. I'm like, I've heard otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it just depends on what they're doing, right? Because, you know, I'm assuming that other tuners are putting bigger turbos, and you know, we haven't changed anything. We still run the same small turbo with JCW intercooler. We're not doing anything crazy. It's just all in the ECU. So in the ECU, and we use the factory ECU, which is called a DME, and you know, that DME is quite smart. Has a lot of development from BMW Mini, and not only that it produces that power, but it also protects. Like it won't do anything, you know, that it thinks that it would damage the engine. So you know, I'm sure other tuners have blown up engines at 350, but they're probably putting nitrous or, you know, piggybacks and maybe bigger turbos. Who knows, right? I don't know. We you know, so yeah, I don't know. We seem to be doing fine with it. We don't need that kind of horsepower for it, and we're just going to stick with what we have, and we know what works and it's reliable.
Well, we know that the current generation 2020 and newer minis, they did something with the DME modules that they know when they've had a chip tune plugged into them, apparently, and they untune themselves.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, it's the evolution of the car and emissions and government requirements, right? So the manufacturers have to get smarter, more security, more safety. They got to comply with a bunch of regulations, federal regulations, and you know, and that's all, you know, the manufacturers, not just BMW Mini, and all the manufacturers have to do this, and that's how they do it. So you know, but for years, tuners have been breaking these ECUs and getting through it and getting past it. So the manufacturers are, I'm assuming, I don't know all the rules and laws and government laws, but I'm sure they make the manufacturer responsible for not being able to protect the integrity of an ECU, I guess, right? So they just add more mappings and more safety codes to get through it or whatever.
Yeah. Now I did hear I was reading a post once. I was trying to find out if these horsepowers that they list for the minis are accurate or not. And someone said that the GP3 actually gets closer to like 330 horsepower, apparently, when they dynoed it. They said that the JCW hardtop, which is listed at 228 in the US, 231 in Europe, it apparently like somewhere around 250 is what they said when they dynoed it. And I'm like, that might make sense with BMW, given that the M5 they've said is like somewhere around 550 horsepower or something like that, and it's actually like slightly over 600. I think that's right.
Yeah.
I could be completely.
So I think that their horsepower is accurate. We've dynoed a Cooper S that's rated at, I think, 188. I think that's what many states, and we got 188, 190. You know, but we got to add the wheels. So the manufacturer doesn't really say if it's crank horsepower or it's wheel horsepower. They just give us a number. So when we dynoed the Cooper S, Christian's car, it put out 190 horsepower at the wheels. So at the crank, that's 200-ish plus probably, right? So So maybe those numbers that you're reading out are crank horsepower and
versus wheel horsepower.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
So So I would back up that the numbers that the manufacturer states the cars are putting out are accurate.
And we're now getting a minor view of the studio.
Right? I had to plug my phone in, so
somebody wasn't prepared.
I was prepared. Now I have to find something to prop it up on. Oh, here we go.
Well, at least now you have a JCW logo behind you.
Yeah, that's even
better. Very nice.
So what is someone here? Someone commented about the speed of the cars. They say, I scare myself just passing on the freeway.
Yeah, so the speed of the car is interesting because I'm not sure we've ever hit the limiter, but we've been told that there's a limiter at 150, somewhere around 100, 155. Well, when we raced at Daytona, we were hitting 154 miles per hour, and we didn't have a problem. What's impressive too, remember, like the Mini is a brick, right? So it's not an aerodynamic car. And we went at Daytona where you would think that aerodynamics would be highly important, but that just, again, is a testament to the power of the car, right? Because at the end of the day, it's the power that moves the brick through the air. So
well, the aerodynamic characteristics of a brick. That's the reason our cars are so susceptible to rock chips and everything.
Yeah.
It's completely flat nose. It just picks up everything.
just don't tell me about the windshields. Those are the worst.
The what?
The windshield is the worst.
I know that from experience. I had a windshield on my 2017 Mini Cooper S that cracked. It cracked on it, which actually the first few days I owned it, it chipped near the driver's side, and I just left it alone. Like a year and a half later, a rock flew up and hit where the VIN sticker is, and I watched the crack as it started to travel across the windshield. And the day after I was supposed to replace the windshield, I got another rock right on another side of the windshield, and it cracked it from the other side. So I watched these two lines start to meet across the windshield. I was about to replace the windshield, and then I traded in the car, so I never had to pay for the windshield.
It's interesting because I always wondered if the car is really that bad aerodynamically, or maybe it's really good. It's just, obviously I've never put it in a wind tunnel, and I don't know what the manufacturers, if they put out, aero numbers, but they don't need to, because people, you don't buy a car for their aerodynamics, right? So
no.
But maybe the car is quite aerodynamic. Who knows? Just maybe it puts a big hole in the air with the front bumper, and it doesn't. I don't know. I mean, but obviously we won Daytona, and it didn't seem like the aero was a problem for us. But
no,
I don't.
It'd be interesting to find out if you could actually put one in a wind tunnel and find out what it could do. I think a part of the thing with the windshield is us Mini owners like to zip around and drive quickly in traffic. So we probably get close enough behind these trucks on the highway that they just kick a rock up and it bounces off our windshields.
Yeah, all three of our cars at NOLA came home with broken, chipped windshields. So that's something. It's one of the parts we change quite frequently because the windshields stand up so straight. So we catch a lot of debris, especially at the racetrack.
So the windshields in your minis or in the race cars are all glass. They're not like.
We run factory glass.
They're the technically the Canadian version of the windshield, so they're the heated ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we can use the defrosters and all the fancy stuff like that. So when it rains,
That must be nice.
Yeah, we can see when it rains.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
unlike my car where I have to turn the defroster on when it starts to rain. Sometimes it'll fog up, and you're like, okay, I have to turn the defroster on. No.
Yeah, we don't need any of that NASCAR stuff with the squeegee and stuff in the inside of the car as you're going 180 miles an hour around the road course.
Sick, yeah.
Yeah.
The worst one for the street car that I've got in the F55 is when it's like super hot out in the summer and it's night and you turn the AC on and the whole windshield fogs up. That's the worst one. And there's nothing you can do other than turning on the hot air as hot as it can go and just sitting miserable for the rest of the drive home.
Yeah. Michael Walker chimes in that with the Mini, it's a beautiful brick.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It is a beautiful brick, and it might be more dynamic than we think, actually.
Yeah. Well, if it is a beautiful brick, it's the best looking. It's one of the best looking bricks on the road. It's the only car that you see it coming up behind you. You know it's a Mini. It's like it doesn't matter what model year it is. You're like, yeah, there's a Mini.
It's the most iconic brick. There you go.
Yeah. It's the most well, I don't know. That's the funny thing. Is it more iconic than a Volvo 240? Because I thought that was a fairly iconic brick.
Yeah, but that's a boring brick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
so, what else do you have for us? I mean, you were scheduled to come to Ozark, and there was a last minute calendar change. And
that really threw my plans off. I was looking forward to that. I was going to do some filming with you guys and hang out with everybody and watch the race, get some footage, and then that was it. They changed the venue, and I was like, crap.
But they're coming to the finale, right? Coming to Indy.
I'm planning to come to India. I'm planning to come to Indianapolis. I'm going to try to get there a few days earlier than the actual racing weekend, so I can like visit the shop and everything and get some real get some good video with you all and get some actual check out the cars up close and everything. If there's any opportunity for me to drive one of them, let me know. I'd love to get that opportunity if there is. Not on the track, of course. Not on the track, no.
You never know.
Yep.
Let's get you to Indy first.
Yep. That's my plan. October's not too far away now. I mean, we're almost into June, so that's gonna be exciting.
Man, this year's flying by.
Oh, don't remind me. The year just flies by like crazy. Someone just asked me if there's a meetup in July, and I don't know if they've ever heard of Mini Takes Estates then. But there is a event called Mini Takes Estates in July, but I will not be on that one. I'll be at Minis in the Mountains in July. So I'll be with the Mini 5280 Club up in not Highlands Ranch, up in Salida, Colorado. So get a break from the high heat in July in Kansas, because it gets way too hot in Kansas in July.
It's been
asking about
already in Indianapolis.
Yeah, unless they were asking about a meet at the racetrack in July, which
Is there a meet in what race are you having in July?
Watkins. We usually have a pretty big mini turnout there, so.
Right, then I guess that's what they were talking about then.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in New York, I guess come to Watkins Glen July.
Yeah, stop by.
That's
for sure.
Alan Holmes, we'll see you in New York.
There you go. There you go. And Alan just responded.
Sweet.
Perfect.
Sounds good, man. See you there.
Perfect.
We have some souvenirs, so make sure you come by the truck.
Okay, now I'm gonna have to try to get to New York in July. Souvenirs. You had me at souvenirs. It's like what stuff can I collect now? I have like a mini shrine on my bookcase. It's like I have stuff from Mini Takes Estates 2018. It looks like a little shrine, like an altar right here in the corner.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can't get the mini hat that PJ's wearing anywhere unless you come and see us at the racetrack.
Well,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna have to come there and come to see you guys in October then to get that hat
Yep.
because
And
I like
cool
collecting stuff.
pictures and you know, obviously we got the hero cards with the drivers. You get to meet the drivers, and so yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, we love our fans and the support. You know, and you know, yeah, I mean, it's important that we have an amazing support from the Mini community, man. So it's incredible. It helps us with our sponsors, right? Because you know that's why they support our drivers, is to be able to maybe sell their products or their services or whatever. And you know, to be honest with you, you know, I'm quite particular about who's on the car and who we partner with. So all of our partners are legit people, you know, legit companies. So it's important that you know, if you follow us, to make sure you support our partners too, you know, because they allow us to go racing and chase trophies and put Mini on the podium, you know, put Mini in the winner's circle. So you know, if you guys subscribe to, you know, your channel, the Miniac, and maybe the race team channel, so we can show our partners that we have a big following, which we do, right? So it just helps.
And I'm definitely going to do that. This live stream is being recorded, so each of you is going to have a recording that you can post up to your own channels. I'm going to edit in like a special thumbnail just for each of you for your own channels. Then you can do whatever you want with those, post them wherever you would like. I'm also going to, when this live stream ends, I have to add in like the end screen on my end on YouTube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include the link or the subscribe button for the JCW Racing Team channel, so that people can go and subscribe to you guys as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Because,
I mean, we need, you know, the support of our community is super important to us, right? So it just helps us, you know.
Big community. It's a really big community. You don't think it is, but you start to realize it's a pretty large one when you see how many people are out there driving minis in this country and even around the world.
Yeah, I believe there's somewhere around 750,000 Mini owners in the U.S. You know.
Yeah.
Which sponsor do you have apparently named Nameless?
What sponsor? Say that again.
Someone said they work at Nameless in Woodland, Washington. I don't know if that's one of your sponsors or not.
I was looking at PJ's car because PJ has a ton of sponsors, so maybe PJ.
That's not me.
No.
All my companies are Canadian based, so that wouldn't be me.
Yeah.
Nameless.
Yeah.
Nameless since Woodland, Washington.
Well, it sounds familiar for some weird reason, but it's definitely not a sponsor of ours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sound like it was a sponsor. If it should be a sponsor, we'll let them know.
Look it up.
I'll stop.
Look it up. So we should probably look. We're gonna need to look up Nameless now. Any other plans?
Who is that?
That's Nameless Performance. What is this? Oh, they do exhaust.
They do exhaust.
Yep. Fancy exhaust.
Well, we use an introduction.
Yeah, if my F55 could be louder, so if you want to send me over that exhaust, I'll use it.
I could use my car to be a little bit louder. I don't know what they did with the 2022 JCWs, but they took out a lot of the pops and crackles. It's like I can only hear them if I can only hear anything out of the tailpipes if I fold the rear seats down.
You can thank
fun out of it.
Regulations for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, well, it has I have the JCW Pro exhaust on the car right now, so it helps a little bit, but not quite. So,
yeah.
Eventually, we'll figure out something. We're hoping that they finally come out with an ECU tune or something like that for the cars that opens them back up a little bit. I don't know. I'm thinking BMW will eventually realize that they made a mistake taking the pops out of them, and they'll send out a software update that puts them all back. I mean, they can. I mean,
Never know.
they can do it.
It's in the DME, actually. They can do it.
Yep. And apparently this person mentioning nameless said, okay, laugh out loud, we're working on it. So you might be hearing from them in the future. You never know.
Yeah, they can go to our website, minijcw.com, and our contacts are there if they want to, if they would like to reach out, whatever. I mean, we're obviously welcome to any new partners. I mean, yeah, and we use the product too, right? So we have legitimate partners. We use their products. If you look at our, some people say, what's our secret to our success? Well, first of all, it's the passion that the team has and the drivers. That's number one. That's where it starts. Then obviously we start with a great platform, which is a Mini. Straight out of dealership, the car is basically a race car. And then our partners, right? We're the only ones that run KW shocks suspension. KW has been a partner of ours from the day the team was born, and they custom build all of our dampers and always take care of us. The TC car has an amazing set of dampers, two-way adjustable dampers by rule, but it's basically a very similar damper that are in several high-end GT4 cars. So and they make amazing suspensions for the Minis. Same with Drexler, the differentials that we use. We used several different. We had the Drexler, we had the Wave Track early on, and then we switched over to the Drexler. Both diffs are sold by the same company that helps us, so they've been partners of us from the beginning. And then we have a bunch of other guys, Mo Tools, come on board to help us with lubricants right now. We're always trying to do some B2B opportunities to help them grow and sell more oil. And yeah, I mean, it's just, PJ has probably the most sponsors than anybody I've seen in the paddock, but
He sticker bombed his car.
Yeah, but thanks to those guys, PJ gets to race with us,
Yes.
and they're all legitimate companies, great people, and so if our fans are needing some kind of service that some of our partners provide, please make sure you mention the racing team so they know where you came from, who sent you there, and we that's why we go racing. That's how we go racing, to be honest with you. That's how we fund it. So to all of you that listen, just please, take a look at our sponsors, and if you need something, reach out to them and let them know where you heard from them.
Yep. Well, I think we're getting close to wrapping up here. I'm gonna ask you guys to stick around just a few more minutes after we end the live stream, just so anything we need to go over or whatever. But I want to thank you all for joining me on the live stream, and I want to thank the subscribers and viewers for joining us, and the fans of the team, the fans of the channel for coming in and chatting with us and hanging out and just having a fun evening. I'm hoping we can possibly do something do another one like this down the road as well, because there's many more races, so there's many more things to discuss, I'm sure, that we'll be able to talk about as well. But we'll do a little housekeeping here. My little ticker tape thing down at the bottom, outmotoring.com, motoringstripes.com. And if you haven't already gone over to my new Spreadshirt store for Miniac merch, go check it out. Lots of different t-shirts, hats, you name it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And definitely check out, I'm going to put up I've had the screenshot for your racing team's page. So I'm going to pop that sucker back up here on the screen and let you all check it out. So go over to the JCW Racing Team's page and check them out as well. And anything you guys want to say before we sign off for the evening?
No, I just want to thank you. This is cool. We should sure maybe do it after the race or frequently. Thank
Well, I'm hoping we can possibly in October we'll do one like in person or something. Like we'll all be in the same space, and it could be like have set up a camera and just have everyone in like at a round table just sitting there.
That would be really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
we should do that for sure.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to that in the future. Looking forward to seeing the rest of your races this year and chatting with you guys some more down the road. But thanks for watching, everybody. And before I let you go, as always, I have to remind you all that life is too short to drive a boring car. So what do we all do, guys?
Drive a Mini.
Drive
a Mini.
Drive a Mini.
There you go.